This is Kingston, Jamaica's capital, the cultural Mecca of the island. It's fast, it's busy. It's a melting pot of history, art, culture, and music, all framed by the Blue Mountains. Kingston doesn't invite you to slow down. It demands that you keep up. To better understand what makes this city unlike anywhere else on the island, I caught up with Nicola, someone who knows it best.
I'm a Kingstonian and I have been in this business and selling the city of Kingston for over 20 years. It is my passion, my love, and I think so many people just need to absolutely come and experience Kingston and to fall in love with it. As we say, Kingston is the heartbeat of Jamaica. It wasn't engineered to be a tourist destination, but it by right becomes one because you get a different kind of feel. It's somewhere that you can really kind of immerse yourself in the true culture of Jamaica, be among the people, whether you're going to a party at night, museums, into the hills to go bird watching, be up on a coffee plantation, experiencing the Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. But at the same time, of course, you have the business side of Kingston. This is where government is. This is where really a lot of commerce takes place. We also have great production teams here. So if you want to do something that's really high-end and on top level, we have the talent. You can come for Carnival and really just immerse yourself in the true culture of Jamaica, be among the people, and just fit right in. And I think that's the beauty of Jamaica and of Kingston. We are very infectious as a people. We love our culture and people love to share our culture. We're very welcoming. There is just a magic that you just can't explain. And there's a hustle and a bustle and an energy that you can't get anywhere else.
With so much of Kingston waiting to be explored, I figured, why not start at the beginning, just across the harbour, where you'll find Port Royal. The events that shaped Kingston into the city it is today began here. Standing watch over it is Fort Charles, the oldest fort in Jamaica and one of the country's most significant historic landmarks. And Kiri, a tour guide here, was drawn to this place for the same reason as me.
I've always had a passion for history and particularly the heritage aspect of Jamaican history. And that is really what drew me to the story of Port Royal, which is a remarkable story.
Kiri explained that long before Kingston became Jamaica's capital, Port Royal was one of the busiest and wealthiest ports in the Caribbean, bringing trade, opportunity, and eventually pirates.
What would Port Royal's story be like without the pirates?
He took me down for a closer look at the original cannons at Fort Charles. He explained that pirates armed their own vessels with cannons and regularly attacked Spanish merchant ships to capture their cargo. Their success against the Spanish would eventually lead to an unlikely alliance with the British during the Battle of Rio Nuevo.
The pirates were invited by Edward Doyle, the English governor at the island at the time. After that battle where the British won, we find Port Royal now becoming this place overrun by pirates, bringing in gold and silver, and they would hang out at the brothels and the taverns. A lot of those wealth went down in the earthquake of 1692, and the big story is that underneath Kingston Harbour lies buried treasures. Port Royal forms a rich tapestry of the history of Kingston, which is a must-see. You can explore Lime Key and back, but it's the gateway into the city to explore the rest of Kingston.
Well, one thing's for sure. Anything that involves water doesn't take much convincing for me. Instead, I made my way to Maiden Key. For many locals, it's another reason they come to Port Royal. The bartenders keep the drinks flowing, filling one cup after another, while the DJ keeps the vibes alive. It was a different kind of voyage than these waters once knew. We certainly won't be running into any pirates out here. Some enjoy the hot, fresh patties and creamy pasta before floating to shore and simply chilling in the water with friends and loved ones. Out here, the water was so clear you could see straight through it, and so calm it was hard to believe we were just minutes from the city. As much as I could have spent the day on Maiden Key, Kingston was still waiting. Along the same stretch of land that connects Port Royal with Kingston is the Palisados International Raceway, Jamaica's home of kart racing. For decades, aspiring drivers have come here to test their skill, and for some, like Fraser, begin a lifelong journey.
Thought it was fitting to come here because this is where it all started for me. You know, just as these kids are practicing on a Sunday, that was me. This exact same track you see here now is what it was like back in the day. And just absolutely fell in love with it from the very first time.
Horseback riding has always been a part of Fraser's family, but he was always into a different kind of horsepower. Since 2022, he's represented Jamaica professionally, competing on the international stage.
If I have a big event coming up, I'll always come here and put in a 4 hours, 5 hours of training. And it's a good excuse to come out here and have some fun as well.
Totally.
Now it was my turn to experience Fraser behind the wheel, and there was only one road leading into Kingston. If you blink, you already missed us. What a beautiful drive into the city. I couldn't wait to see what Kingston had in store for me. The harbour stayed with me along the way, and just across the water sat Port Royal. Once it was out of sight, it still wasn't out of mind, because history doesn't stop at the water's edge. It seems to be everywhere. At the National Gallery of Jamaica, the chief curator O'Neill was happy to show me around, to see firsthand that Jamaica's creativity extends far beyond music. And Dr. Nadine Booth-Gooden was here to help put it all into perspective.
It's a really rich collection that we have here at the National Gallery of Jamaica. We are, after all, the premier art institution in the region. Our main focus is on Jamaican, Caribbean, and other related artworks. So when we have exhibitions, we'll have works from the diaspora. Sometimes that brings a different flavor because depending on where they are, their experiences vary, and it brings to the richness of the culture and remind us out of many one people. What is art really? It's the lived experiences of people, not just art as you see it on the walls in paintings, not just in that form, right?
And that's what Duchamp said, wasn't it? He was like,
That's
what is
right.
art? And he just signed the toilet bowl. And he said, if I say that art, is it art?
That's right.
It's
Art
part
is
of
in
our
everything.
culture. That was
Just
his
about
point.
in everything. And this is why it won't be the only thing that brings people to Kingston. And this is why I want to emphasize the interconnectivity. People like to go outside of Kingston, mainly for beaches and stuff, but there's a richer culture, the heritage that we have in Kingston here. And that's what I love really about being in Kingston.
Looks like there are plenty of treasures on land too. If Port Royal preserves Jamaica's physical history, the National Gallery preserves its cultural memory. Back on the streets of downtown Kingston, the soundtrack was impossible to ignore, and who would want to? I immediately started to see exactly what Nadine meant. Creativity wasn't confined to galleries. It spilled onto walls and entire city blocks. It was absolutely stunning. One form of creativity seemed to lead naturally to the next, from art to fashion. At Tribe 9 Studios, founder and designer Troy O'Rain blends streetwear, tailoring, and high fashion with distinctly Jamaican influences. I started to notice something. No matter who I met, nobody seemed interested in leaving their culture behind. They carried it with them. As if things couldn't come any more full circle, there he was, Jimmy Cliff. I first watched The Harder They Come when I was 14, and from that moment on, I knew I had to visit Jamaica. But my journey with Jamaica didn't stop there, because Jimmy Cliff wasn't the only artist who would shape my love for this island. Augustus Pablo's music left its mark on me too, and I never imagined I'd get to tell that story to his son, Addis Pablo.
I had a connection with Jamaica through the music when I was 14 with The Harder They Come.
Great film.
Soon Goes, a great film, changed my life. Not long after that, of course, I called Rockers,
The movie, yeah, man.
which your great dad is in, and where your dad was brought to the world.
Augustus Pablo helped shape the musical world that Rockers captured, and the film, in turn, helped introduce that world to countless viewers outside Jamaica. For Addis, that world wasn't something he discovered through film, he was born into it.
You know, we grew up in the culture of records. I mean, I've been selling records from the age of 14. These are like cultural heritage, so growing up this is what I knew. Based on the fact that my dad passed at the age of 9, whether I want to or not, I had to take up a lot of responsibilities. So from there, I just started learning more about the music, business, eventually starting to play melodica, touring, traveling all across the world, representing. The roots music represents the fight against oppression, relates to many people of different walks of life, races and creeds, but it's really about freedom fighting and expression of your culture. This culture represents our story, our struggle, our progress, our successes, like everything that we've been through over the time, from ancient days till now. It's like capturing a moment that we might not ever get again. In the hotel environment, you only get a fragment of it, a small fragment. This is the heart of the city, so the pulse of Jamaica, at least the city in Kingston, is downtown. That's why we try to preserve it and keep it for the new generations that might not get opportunities to Jamaica like this, because we don't know what the future may bring. So
He's right. None of us knows what Kingston will look like in the future. That makes me even more grateful to experience it today. And after meeting people like Addis, I have a feeling its story is in good hands. King Jammy is one of the people who helped shape that story.
You see, Kingston is really the headquarters of Jamaica in terms of music. But that's not to say that I don't influence the whole of Jamaica, you know? My whole body is music. You know, I don't eat anything but music. I sleep music, I do everything music. Even my sound is not in the board, it's in me. So while I was learning trade, you know, I built a little amplifier and had a little 12-inch in a box. The first time I get a date to play out, it's not really a paid date. Just my friend, one of my best friends, Pablo, he was migrating to Canada. So I pushed my thing in a cart and I went down there and string up that little thing and started to play. And surprisingly, the place was rum, full with all the friends around. So I said, oh, I have to go bigger with this thing. And I started to build little bigger boxes until I reached King Jammy's Superpower sound system. But when I came back to Jamaica now, I professionally started recording for myself and producing because of the influence of Bunny Lee. He was my closest friend, you know.
You could really feel that this wasn't just someone he admired. This was someone who changed the course of his life. If King Jammy's story couldn't be told without Bunny Lee, then neither could much of Kingston's musical story. Bunny Striker Lee was one of the most influential record producers Jamaica has ever known, and that legacy lives on through his museum. And who better to be greeted by than Striker Lee Jr., Bunny Lee's son. I couldn't help but notice the pattern. I wasn't just meeting the people who shaped Jamaica's history, I was meeting the people making sure it wasn't forgotten. Bunny Lee's museum was filled with gold and platinum records, studio equipment, and the very tools that helped shape the sound of Jamaican music. Even the recording studio was here. Every room felt like a time capsule, carefully preserving the sounds and stories that helped define a generation for future generations. Instruments linked to legendary artists were surrounded by the faces that built Jamaican music, placing Bunny Lee's story within the larger story of the culture. The museum felt less like a tribute to one man and more like a tribute to an entire movement. There was one more legend I had to meet, but it wasn't just the man that drew me here. It was the rhythm, a rhythm that has echoed through generations of Jamaican music. Chinna's Yard is where Nyabingi and reggae meet. Here, ancient rhythms, the steady pulse of hand drums, guitars and song come together, and Earl Chinna Smith is at the center of it all.
I rate Kingston. I've been all over the world and it's just some choose to live because of what the place is and what it bring out. Yeah, Kingstown. The kings are in its palaces, in its high places. So I'm born in music. My father have sound system and everything, so We get to love the music at an early age because I said, from in our belly.
Bunny Lee once DJ'd on the sound system owned by his father. Years later, Chinna would become a guitarist in Bunny Lee's house band, The Aggravators, play lead guitar on Augustus Pablo's breakthrough hit Java, and even provide the backing music for one of King Jammy's foundational albums, Money Man Skank.
Reggae music is the art of people. You understand? And that was original reggae music. Them hear music and feel it, like my generation. And when you feel something, man, you dance. But for me, the reggae have been born out, wore out, and tore out. So I said, no. We have to go back to the drum because everything starts from the drum. But the drum, the real power, you know. The drum have an energy where, yeah, if evil in it, man, evil in you, man, the drum will beat it out. My hope is that and believe that this music that we play, we're going to get to mainstream one day. Mainstream like top Billboard, naturally.
After listening to Chinna, all I could think was, how often do you get the chance to sit with the very people who helped shape the soundtrack of an island that has meant so much to you? There was only one thing left to do: continue following the music. After a night like that, I figured I'd earned a slower start to the day, and Devon House seemed like the perfect place to do just that. First things first, breakfast. And when you're at Devon House, that means a patty from the Devon House Bakery. A curry goat patty, to be exact. A cup of tea from the Lemongrass Tea Room and Herbal Cafe was the perfect excuse to slow things down for a minute. But Devon House is more than just somewhere to eat. Built in 1881 by Jamaica's first black millionaire, George Stibel, its history is just as much a part of the experience as the food. And of course, no visit to Devon House would be complete without the famous ice cream. Probably not the best thing to have before dinner, but some rules are worth breaking. Kingston's creativity doesn't stop with music, art or fashion. It finds its way onto the plate. To explore that side of the city, I met with Lisa Gay Chin at Fromage, where Jamaica's culinary scene continues to evolve.
We're getting to a very broad span of different cuisines nowadays. Before, it really never used to be like that. And hence, that's what we did here, is to try and offer all of those different flavors. I think, social media has opened up everyone's eyes to the world, and they all want to try what they see online. So there's something for everyone. The atmosphere, service, whether it be a European or a Japanese, we try to infuse that Jamaican flavor in everything that we do. A lot of business travelers, they come, they stay, they eat at the hotels, and they don't step foot out because they're unsure of what's going on. They miss that warm hospitality of, coming out and the Jamaican people sharing their love, and they're so proud of what we have to offer. That's woven into the fabric of Kingston here that they need to come and try.
Then I heard it.
Yeah, Jamaica is.
Carnival historically runs deep in the Caribbean, but Jamaica brings its own unique rhythm to the experience. If you thought this was just a party, you thought wrong. It's a celebration. Christina is known as the carnival connoisseur, having danced in road marches around the world, proving that the celebration of carnival has no borders.
Carnival to me is celebration, it's fun, it's memories of our time when we had to resist and we had to revolt. And what that looks like today is just celebrating, particularly on that one day, to just relax and just let loose. No more norms, let's just go out and just have fun and celebrate. Of course, Jamaicans are going to add their own flavor. We add our own dancehall culture and our own reggae culture to it as well. You're not going to see this carnival being performed the same way in Europe, nor in any of these other places. That's the flavor I feel that Jamaicans bring in to Carnival.
Carnival bands light up the streets, and everyone is dancing their hearts out as soca, and of course dancehall and reggae echo through the air, ricocheting off the buildings in harmony with winding waistlines. The history, the creativity, the resilience, the pride, the love for the culture, it was literally unfolding right in front of me. I've been fortunate enough to travel to many places, but I'd never experienced that kind of national pride quite like this. It wasn't something I could fully explain, only something I was grateful to witness. This experience has given me a whole new appreciation for the city. Culture wasn't something people only talked about in Kingston. It was something they lived every single day. And for a brief moment, I didn't feel like I was looking in from the outside anymore. I simply felt grateful to be welcomed into it. With a heart full of gratitude, I figured it was time to head for the hills. Before wrapping up my time in Kingston, there were a few more local favourites I couldn't leave without experiencing. At Belcourt Preserves, Robin says her inspiration doesn't come from distant places because the Blue Mountains is her wellspring of creativity. What began as a simple desire not to let fruit go to waste has grown into a business built on making the most of what the land provides.
I wanted stuff that didn't have any preservatives. Next thing you know, people are buying by the case, but my love language is food.
Before I left, she said something that I'd find myself coming back to.
Every person's story is so interesting.
The more I thought about those words, the more I realized I'd spent the last few days collecting stories, and I carried those stories with me, up to Strawberry Hill. I was reminded that understanding Jamaica meant understanding where its story began. Inside the National Gallery, I saw how that story continues to be told through art that celebrates and preserves the nation's identity. In the streets, I watched that same identity evolve through fashion, murals, and everyday creativity. Then came the music. One legend led to the next, carrying the music forward together. What first looked like individual chapters turned out to be one continuous story. Even in the Blue Mountains, I found that same spirit, an unmistakable pride in taking what Jamaica gives and passing it on. No matter how many remarkable people I met, none of them ever tried to make the story about themselves. They all understood they were simply one chapter in something much greater. Kingston. It isn't just a city of legends, it's a city of caretakers. That realization left me with a deeper understanding of a place I'd loved, long before I ever set foot on it.